Kale chips sound like a new age hippie kind of fad thing. Maybe they are, but I'll tell you this much I know. Everybody loves kale chips. My son just can't seem to get enough of them. And if we make up several trays, they'll be gone by the end of the day. So with that in mind, I'm going to make many trays. All you need is a whole lot of kale. I've washed it, and then I've got a whole lot more. See if you can drain it. We're going to remove the stems. Let's just flick the moisture all around the kitchen. Now I say dehydrate, but yes, you can do this in the oven. Raw is best, except where it comes to foods that naturally need to be cooked. And I've been reading about kale, how actually you can obtain more nutritional benefit from the kale if it's lightly cooked. So you can roast this in the oven. I'm going to use the dehydrator today because I've got some other things in the oven. So notice how I'm just peeling off the leaves, leaving the stem behind, and this is also breaking it up. If you're ever dealing with things like lettuce, it's best not to chop lettuce and just tear it into its pieces because it bruises it. So when you tear it, it's going to tear upon its natural fault line or veins, and it won't bruise. So for this, you need a massive bowl. So I'm going to do this in stages because my bowl is kind of small. Flavour this with a variety of things. I've done salt and vinegar, I've done garlic, but my all-time favourite is the yeast flakes, olive oil and salt. It is so delicious. All right, so big pieces are great. Let's get started with this. Little pieces seem to fit on the tray better. Kale is a superfood, but I'd argue that all green vegetables are a superfood. It's alkalizing, it's high in iron, and they say it's actually got a greater content of iron than beef. So it's not true when people say, oh, I'm anemic, I need to eat a steak. I mean, by all means, eat one if that's what your body's telling you need to eat, but this is a great alternative. I'm going to add my flavourings to the kale. Olive oil because I want the yeast flakes to stick to something. How much is up to you? I've made it with light sprinkles before. I've made it with quite a lot of olive oil. Just depends if you're watching your fat intake. I mean, fat's a great thing, not only good for brain health and skin and hair and nails, but it carries flavour. So from a cooking point of view, I use quite a lot of olive oil because it's delicious. You could use coconut oil, and I love coconut oil in desserts, as a massage, as a hair treatment, great for topically for the skin, but I just don't like the taste of coconut oil when it cooks. That's my personal thing. Okay, so I've massaged lovingly the kale and olive oil together, and I'm ready to sprinkle on my yeast flakes and my salt. This is about 4 tablespoons. Now I normally get in there and use my hands, but I found that too much of it was sticking to my hands. And then I have to scrape it off. So I'll just use some tongs. You don't have to use as much as that, but I find that once they're done, we go searching for the kale chip that has the most yeast flakes on it. And then the salt. When they dry, they become more concentrated. So I'm going to add quite a bit of salt, but if you're a novice, go easy on the salt and you can add some more later on. But the salt also helps the kale to drop its moisture. Let's have a little taste. I just love kale. Kale's actually not a lettuce. It's from the cruciferous family, so it's from the family of cabbages. And it is possible to have too much kale, but not if you've got a healthy metabolism. You would only need to watch out your kale intake if you had some kind of thyroid disease. Just something to bear in mind. What I love about kale is because it's such a robust leaf, you can dress the salad, like put heaps of dressing on it take it to a party or someone's house where you've been asked to bring a plate, and then an hour or two later it's going to be perfect. It will have marinated and softened the kale, whereas you can't do that with lettuce. If you had an iceberg lettuce, it's going to be like a yucky, soggy mess. Okay. So if you're doing it raw, you'll notice that it will retain its green colour better, but this is fine to cook. And the reason why I started to cook it was because, frankly, I'm impatient and I just wanted them to be ready in 20 minutes, not a couple of hours. Then I was happy to learn that actually cooking kale increases the bioavailability of its nutrients. So win-win, quicker, get more nutrients. Okay, so these are going into the dehydrator and we'll check on them maybe in an hour or so. After 2 hours, our kale chips are ready. Now I just wanted to show you the beautiful bright green colour. So come in close so you can have a look. And then I want to draw your attention to this one. So this one was in the oven. It's fine to do them in the oven, but on a lower temperature, they retain their greenness. Now, I wanted them to be cooked more quickly, so I had them on the highest temperature, which was about 60 degrees Celsius. It's a lot of kale, and if you have children, adults, husband, anyone in your family, friends, that you're finding it difficult to eat vegetables, give them one of these. I have not yet met a person who doesn't fall in love with kale chips. It's the texture, it's the saltiness. And just because you've decided to eat a healthy diet doesn't mean that craving for salty, snacky treats goes away. So kale chips are the perfect alternative to a bag of crisps or even popcorn. Beautiful.